Tell me, are you familiar with that feeling when familiar things suddenly become harder? Take, for example, a simple bus ride. Remember how easily we used to hop onto the steps in our youth, how we didn't notice the crowds or sudden stops? And now every step onto that high step is a challenge. Every turn brings the fear of losing balance. Why does this happen? With age, our blood vessels lose elasticity, joints wear out, muscles weaken, and coordination isn't what it was at 20. And you know what adds fuel to this fire of decline? Our daily habits and what's on our plate. That sneaky sugar, promising a moment's pleasure only to drop us into a pit of fatigue, like a roller coaster. White bread and pastries that clog our intestines, like an old dusty chest of drawers, preventing us from absorbing nutrients. Or the hours spent motionless in front of the television, turning our muscles into weak threads. I want to share with you how one incident on a bus made me rethink everything. And I promise, what I'm going to talk about today won't require titanic efforts or expensive purchases. These are simple, accessible steps that will help you regain lightness in your body, clarity in your mind, and the joy of movement. You will feel like the masters of your own life again, not prisoners of age. Shall we walk this path together to the end? I'm sure you'll find something very important for yourself here. The first thing to start with is dealing with our sweet enemy. Yes, that very sugar, hiding not only in the sugar bowl, but also in cookies, candies, and sugary drinks. We often justify it. What's the harm in one little spoonful? It's just a small pleasure. But this pleasure costs us dearly. Try replacing your usual sweets and sugary drinks with fruits, berries, and plain water. I remember my dear friend Elizabeth. She was 72 at the time. She adored her afternoon tea with biscuits. She'd say, "It's my little ritual, my solace." But she also complained about constant evening fatigue and aching joints, especially her knees. Getting up to the second floor of her house had become torture. When I gently suggested she try replacing the biscuits with a handful of berries or an apple, she initially brushed it off. "Jane, come on, it's not the same at all. Not sweet, not satisfying." There was a real inner resistance. She was used to that sugar rush, however short-lived. But then, after another difficult climb up the stairs, she decided. "All right," she told me on the phone, "I'll try your fruit diet. I have nothing to lose. And what do you think?" A couple of weeks later, she called again, and her voice sounded completely different, more energetic, livelier. "You know, Jane," she said, "at first I was angry. I missed the familiar taste. But then, I noticed I wasn't feeling so sleepy after lunch, and my knees, they seemed to ache less." By cutting out simple carbohydrates, Elizabeth freed her body from sharp blood sugar spikes, that very roller coaster inevitably followed by a crash in energy. Furthermore, sugar fuels inflammation throughout the body, including the joints. Fruits, especially berries, contain fiber, providing steady, long-lasting energy and antioxidants that fight inflammation. Elizabeth not only found it easier to climb the stairs, but she also felt a surge of energy she had been missing. Her mood stabilized. She started walking in her garden again without fearing fatigue. A small change on your plate can be a big step towards feeling better. Give it a try. And so, when you have more steady energy thanks to proper nutrition, it's the perfect time to think about how to direct that energy effectively. After all, even the best fuel is useless if the engine isn't running. I'm talking about movement. I know what you're thinking. Movement? My joints ache. I have no energy. I get short of breath. But I'm not asking you to run a marathon. It's important to replace hours of inactivity in front of the TV or with a book with short periods of light activity. This could be a simple walk around the room every half hour, light exercises right in your chair, or a few minutes of stretching. Meet Arthur. He's 75. He'd always been an active man, but after retiring and having hip surgery, he started spending a lot of time in his favorite armchair. "I'm afraid of falling," he confessed to me. "My legs are weak. Coordination isn't the same. And why go anywhere? Everything's at home." His world had shrunk to the size of his apartment. He felt constrained, his muscles became flabby, and any effort, even a trip to the corner store, caused shortness of breath and fatigue. A bus trip seemed like climbing Everest to him. I suggested he start small, doing simple seated exercises several times a day, leg lifts, ankle rotations, gentle torso bends. At first, he grumbled, "This is child's play. What good will it do?" He felt embarrassed, awkward doing these silly movements. But he's a man of his word. He promised. He did it. He started with 5 minutes, then 10. After a month, he noticed with surprise that it was easier to get out of his chair. His back ached less. He even ventured out for a short walk in the yard. "Can you imagine, Jane?" he told me proudly. "I walked to the bench by the entrance and didn't even get winded. Why did it work? Our bodies rust without movement. Even light, regular activity improves blood circulation, nourishes joints, strengthens muscles, yes, even at 75, and supports heart and lung function. Movement is the oil for our joints and fuel for our muscles." Arthur didn't just get physically stronger. He felt more confident, more energetic. His interest in life beyond his apartment returned. He started going out more, chatting with neighbors. The bus was no longer a frightening monster. Don't be afraid to start small. Even 5 minutes of movement is better than 0. Your body will thank you. And of course, to make all these movements easier so joints don't creak and muscles work properly, our body needs vital hydration. I'm talking about simple, plain water, which we often underestimate. Have you noticed how sometimes by midday your head feels heavy, thoughts get jumbled, and energy disappears? We blame it on age, on the weather. But what if it's simple dehydration? Try replacing the habit of drinking only tea or coffee, which can actually dehydrate you, with regularly drinking plain water throughout the day. Remember Margaret, 68 years old. She had always been a very energetic woman, but in recent years, she started complaining about frequent dizziness, dry skin, and some inexplicable lethargy. She mostly drank strong tea, thinking she was getting enough fluids. Water? She'd wonder. Why? It's tasteless. Tea is much nicer. It seemed to her that drinking water just because was an unnecessary effort. Internally, she resisted the idea, but the dizziness became more frequent, and her doctor advised her to drink more plain water. Reluctantly, Margaret placed a beautiful pitcher of water with lemon on her table and started taking a few sips every hour. The first few days felt strange, but within a week, she noticed changes. "Jane, you won't believe it," she chirped into the phone. "My head is clearer, as if a fog has lifted, and my skin, it's softer, not so dry. And most importantly, I've almost stopped feeling that annoying weakness during the day." What's the secret? Our body is 60–70% water. It's needed for everything: brain function, digestion, joint lubrication, toxin removal. When water is scarce, blood thickens, the brain lacks oxygen, joints creak, and toxins accumulate. Water is the transport for nutrients and the cleaner for our body, like a river that brings life and washes away waste. By starting to drink enough water, Margaret essentially flushed out her system from the inside. She became more alert, energetic, and her complexion improved. It became easier for her to concentrate. A glass of plain water is a simple and accessible elixir of vitality. Keep it handy. Once we've balanced our hydration and our body is working like a well-oiled machine, it's important to think about the building materials. For maintaining strength, for strong muscles that help us keep our balance and move easily, we need protein. With age, we often unknowingly start eating less of it. Meat seems tough, beans cause discomfort, and we lean towards porridge, bread, potatoes. But muscles need building blocks. Therefore, the next important step is to replace some carbohydrate side dishes, potatoes, pasta, white rice, with quality protein sources: lean poultry, fish, eggs, cottage cheese, legumes, if you tolerate them well. Let me tell you about George. He was nearly 80, and his main problem was weakness. He struggled to carry groceries from the store, getting tired quickly even from a short walk. "Old age is no joy, Jane," he'd sigh. "Strength fades, nothing you can do." His typical lunch was mashed potatoes with a sausage or pasta with ground meat. Tasty, familiar, but his muscles got little benefit from such meals. When I talked to him about protein, he dismissed it. "What protein? It's hard to chew, I'm too lazy to cook." He was convinced it was too late to change his diet at his age. But his daughter, worried about her father's condition, started cooking for him more often: baked chicken breast, omelets, cottage cheese bakes, steamed fish cakes. At first, George ate without much enthusiasm, missing his potatoes out of habit. But after a month or so, he noticed the difference himself. "Strange thing," he told me one day, But carrying the bags from the store has become easier, and I get tired less. What happened? We lose muscle mass as we age. It's a natural process called sarcopenia, but it can and should be slowed down. Protein provides the building blocks from which our muscles are built and repaired. If there aren't enough building blocks, muscles weaken. We lose strength, stability, and the risk of falls increases. By increasing the protein in his diet, George gave his muscles the necessary nourishment. They became stronger. Imagine your muscles are like a balloon that deflates with age. Protein is the pump that helps keep it inflated. George didn't just become physically stronger, he felt more confident, more independent. The fear of physical exertion disappeared. He could go shopping by himself again. Take care of your muscles. They are your support. Feed them properly. And now, when we feel more energetic and stronger during the day, it's crucial to ensure quality nighttime rest. Because it's during sleep that our body recovers from the day's activities, repairs itself, and the brain reboots. Good, deep sleep isn't a luxury, it's a vital necessity. But many of us sleep worse with age, taking a long time to fall asleep, waking up frequently. What can be changed here? Try replacing evenings sitting in front of the TV or tablet screen with calm, relaxing pre-sleep rituals. This could be a warm bath, reading a physical book in soft light, listening to calm music, or simply a few minutes of silence. I remember Helen. She was 70. She complained about terrible sleep. She'd fall asleep with the TV on, often wake up in the middle of the night, and then struggle to get back to sleep, tossing and turning and worrying. During the day, she felt worn out, irritable. Everything seemed to go wrong. "I'm just squeezed like a lemon," she'd say. "Never mind the bus. I can barely make it to the kitchen without feeling tired." The idea of giving up her evening TV seemed sacrilegious to her. "What else would I do?" she asked bewilderedly. "I'm so used to it. It helps me switch off." She was scared to be alone with her thoughts in the silence, but her fatigue was so intense that she agreed to try. Instead of news and series, she started taking a warm bath with lavender an hour before bed, and then read a light novel in her armchair under the soft glow of a nightlight. The first few nights were tough. Habit pulled her towards the remote, but she persistently followed her new ritual, and gradually, her sleep started to improve. She began falling asleep faster, waking up less often. "Jane, it's a miracle," she rejoiced after a month. "I'm actually sleeping well. I have so much energy during the day now, and my mood. I've become calmer. Why is this important?" The blue light from screens suppresses the production of melatonin, the sleep hormone, and the information stimulates the nervous system. Calm pre-sleep rituals, on the other hand, signal the body, time to relax. Imagine your sleep is a calm harbor, and the TV is a storm preventing you from entering the port. By creating a peaceful atmosphere, you help your ship find the harbor. Helen didn't just sleep better. Her memory and concentration improved. She became more composed. Give yourself a peaceful evening, and you'll get an energetic morning and a clear day. Your sleep is in your hands. And when we are well rested, refreshed in body and soul, it's much easier to maintain a positive outlook. And this is perhaps just as important as everything else. Anxiety, fear, loneliness, all these undermine our strength, sometimes even more than physical ailments. How often do we withdraw into ourselves, into our aches and worries, shutting ourselves off from the world? But this is a dead-end path. Try replacing the habit of withdrawing into yourself with seeking connection, new interests, and positive emotions. Remember David, he was around 78. After his wife passed away, he completely lost heart. He sat at home all day, staring out the window, not talking to anyone. He complained of apathy, lack of appetite, and aches all over his body. "What's the point?" he'd repeat. "Nothing good will happen anymore." Any suggestion to leave the house irritated him. He was immersed in his grief and believed his time had passed. But his granddaughter didn't give up. She started visiting him more often, talking, bringing old photos. Then she persuaded him to go out onto the balcony, then for a short walk. One day, she brought him a book about balcony gardening and a couple of pots with soil. David initially refused, but out of boredom, he planted some seeds. And suddenly, that tiny sprout that emerged a week later stirred something within him. He started taking care of his plants, reading about them. He had something to do. He began talking to neighbors about his new hobby. He told me with a smile one day, I forgot how nice it is to see something grow because of you. And people, turns out there are so many interesting folks around. What happened? Loneliness and isolation are huge stressors. Connection, new interests, positive emotions, these are vitamins for the soul. They help produce joy hormones, reduce stress levels, and give a sense of purpose. Imagine your soul is a garden. If neglected, it becomes overgrown with the weeds of sorrow. But if tended, planting flowers of joy, watering it with connection, it will bloom again. David, by finding a new hobby and renewing connections, seemed to step out of a dark room into the light. His appetite and sleep improved, and his interest in life returned. It's never too late to discover something new and share the warmth of your soul with others. Joy is contagious. So, these are the simple steps, my dear friends. Perhaps the bus incident I started with was just the trigger, the final straw that made me realize I don't want to put up with discomfort and limitations. I want to live life to the fullest, as much as possible at my age. And you deserve that too. You've lived long, rich lives, accumulated priceless experience and wisdom. You have every right to feel good, energetic, and enjoy each new day. Don't think that age is a sentence. It's simply a new stage where we can and must care for ourselves with even greater love and attention. Don't be afraid to try new things, to change habits. Start small, with one step. Replace 1 cup of sweet tea with a glass of water. Walk around the room for an extra 5 minutes. Call an old friend. You'll be surprised how these small changes add up to the bigger picture of your well-being and wonderful mood. Remember, you have much more strength and potential than you think. Believe in yourself, take care of yourself, and may every day be filled with ease and joy. Be healthy and happy.